Alrighty, so in this lesson we're going to learn about our 3D coordinate system and how to move, scale, and rotate our objects based on that coordinate system. So let's get started. Let's create a teapot right smack dab in the middle of the grid. And just like that. Now, our 3D coordinate systems are basically just X, Y, and Z. Our X-axis being this black line going this way, our y-axis going this way, and our z-axis going up and down. Now you can see based on these little indicators down here in the left corner, and also on the object itself, it's going to show you which direction these axes are. Alright, so let's actually start moving things. Now the formal buttons for move, scale, and rotate, I'm just going to show you where they are, but I don't want you to use them. They're they're up out of the way, but let's start with our move up here, rotate, and scale. Now these buttons are fine if you just remember where they are, but it can get kind of cumbersome moving your mouse all the way up here whenever you want to do these things. Now, the quickest and best way, in my opinion, to toggle these commands is the use of hotkeys. So if you click W, you're going to notice you get your move gizmo up here, and then if you hit the E key right next to it, it's going to bring up your rotate, and if you hit the R, it's going to bring up your scale. Now in order to get back to just selecting the object without any of these manipulation commands, you're just going to hit Q. That brings back to the select only object. Alright, so let's hit W, and we're going to bring up our move gizmo. Now to move an object in 3D space, we have to move it along a coordinate axes. Now to move it along the X, let's start with that. We're just going to put our mouse over the red stick until it turns yellow, and then just click and drag, and it's going to move along that axis. Same for the Y and the Z. Now to move along two axes at one time, you're going to notice you have these little boxes on your gizmo, and then once you highlight the corner of each box, two of the sticks light up in yellow and the box is yellow. So if you do that, you will notice you have X movement as well as Z movement at the same time. And the same works for the other boxes. If you just alt middle mouse button to rotate to get a little better view, you can move in all the different things. Just like that. Now a quick tip that I use all the time, it's very important to remember. If you're moving or scaling or rotating an object and you decide in the middle of your drag, I don't want to be moving this object because I changed my mind, you can right mouse click and it will snap back to the exact position it was at before. So get used to using that and use it a lot because it comes in handy, especially when you're moving around vertices when you're modeling. Alright, so let's hit the E key, which is right next to the W, and it's going to bring up our rotate gizmo, which is the same basic principle as our move gizmo, which is you go over a line, the red being the X, Y, green, Z's, and blue, and then you just hold it down when it turns yellow, and it's going to rotate on that axis. Just like so. Now, in order to rotate on all three axes, you're just going to put right in the middle of the gizmo. Don't touch any one line in particular. And it's going to rotate in all three, but this is pretty wonky and hard to work with, so I don't ever use it. And you're just going to right mouse click to cancel that rotation. Now, we're going to hit R, which is the scale command, and we're going to bring up the scale gizmo. Now, the scale gizmo is the same basic principle. We're going to Z squash it, maybe squash it in Y, and then an X. And you could also do two at a time. You're just going to, on the midpoint of each triangle on the outside, it's going to highlight yellow, and you're just going to drag it out like that in each one. Now in order to scale all three, which makes your object bigger and smaller, just put your mouse right in the middle of the gizmo, and it's going to highlight the big main triangle in the middle. And that's just going to make your objects bigger and smaller. Just like that. Alright, so in our next lesson, we're going to dive into the Modify panel, which gives us even more control of how we change our objects.